COVID-19 infections in the last 2 months, says Ghana Health Service. Supreme Court dismisses Justice Abdullah's review application on Deputy Speaker's right to vote in Parliament. Operation Clean Your Frontage campaign team ready for action after military training. Also in this package, 2 separate fires break out within Accra's Central Business District in 24 hours. And second Ebola death recorded in DR Congo. Vaccine rollout begins next week. Good evening, coming to you from the broadcasting house here in Accra. We bring you news at 7 p.m. My name is Clara Mlano. Robert Frimpong Mansell will integrate the news into sign language. We are live on GTV, GBC News and DSTV on channel 278. We begin with the health segment with Samuela Kote.
Is brought to you by Lufat, Tobingo's premium gift to Africa. The Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumaboaji, says Ghana is currently recording very low cases of COVID-19. Cases recorded daily are less than 20. As of today, April 26, 2022, Ghana has no severe or critical cases. Dr. Kumaboaji said even though 14 million COVID-19 vaccines have been administered nationwide, the vaccination drive is low.
Currently, we are experiencing relatively very low cases. We have recorded low cases. So the average daily is about less than 20, and we have a weekly average of less than 5 per week. So that tells you that the numbers are quite low. Currently, 12 regions do not have any active case, which means there are 12 out of the 16 regions that do not have any cases at all. We don't have anybody who is on admission, severe or critical, anywhere in Ghana so far. There's been a significant decline in the number of cases reported at the airport for those few people who are tested. But unfortunately, the vaccine uptake has reduced, and that is so because the low risk perception. But I just want to highlight the fact that this is the best time to get vaccinated.
Now, on the opening of Ghana's borders, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumaboaji, says there will be a thorough inspection of the authenticity of the vaccination cards of people using the border. In addition to the COVID-19 cards, the ministry will also check for yellow fever cards before an individual will be given entry into Ghana through the borders. Dr. Kumaboaji urged the general public to still wear their nose masks, especially in enclosed places.
Borders are open. We do general physical screening of the travelers, doing temperature monitoring, etc. We will do a physical verification of a COVID-19 vaccination card, so the port health will have the samples of the other countries so that they can check. We also do a digital verification of the COVID-19 vaccination certificate using the Panavirus platform, which gives us information as to whether it's a genuine card or it's a fake card. So that one is done. And of course, we continue to inspect the yellow fever vaccination card at all levels, especially in the land borders where we have our neighbors still having some cases of yellow fever.
As we recap some highlights of World Malaria Day, we take you to Hohoe in the Volta region, where the National Malaria Control Program, Dr. Imam, says Ghana requires $412 million to fully implement its current malaria eradication strategic plans. There are urgent calls for the private sector and donors to augment the country's revenue mobilization base for malaria eradication interventions as contained in the National Malaria Strategic Plan, which spans 2021 to 2025.
Health Organization's statistics show that close to 241 million cases of malaria with 627,000 malaria-related deaths were recorded in 2020. Under 5 children are thus considered the most vulnerable group and contribute about 77% of all malaria deaths worldwide. Ghana currently has a national malaria strategic plan which spans 2021 to 2025, and the plan is to reduce malaria mortality by 90%, reduce malaria incident cases by 50%, and also for a malaria pre-elimination in about 6 districts in the country by 2025, using 2019 as a baseline. The program manager of the National Malaria Control Program, Dr. Imam, called for increased investment into malaria control interventions. She believes positive behaviors in the fight against malaria must be sustained.
With the inadequate resources that we have, the health service has pushed. Nonetheless, the journey to elimination is still far off. I am hopeful that everyone will join the campaign to end malaria in Ghana because it is feasible.
The Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Lecha, said the region has made significant strides in the fight against malaria and assured that the efforts to fight the disease will be stepped up. A national malaria advocate, Oheneyere Gifty Anti, said a collective commitment and determination can help to achieve a zero malaria status in the country.
We approach the fight of COVID with a national approach. Each and every one of us was committed. If we decide to fight malaria with that commitment, with that determination, zero malaria is achievable.
The Deputy Minister for Health, Mr. Mahama Asseiseni, called for cooperation to eliminate malaria by 2030 across Africa.
Malaria cases remain high, with about 12 million malaria cases suspected, out of which 5.7 million were confirmed in 2021.
The National Malaria Control Program also made a presentation to the inmates of the Volta Hope Children's Home.
And that's it for Health, brought to you by Lufat, to Bingo's premium gift to Africa. Now hand you over to Clara for more stories.
Thanks, Amiela. The Interior Ministry has declared May 2 and May 3, 2022 as public holidays in 2 separate statements issued by the ministry. Sunday, May 1, 2022, which marks May Day or Workers' Day, is the statutory public holiday. Given that the holiday falls on a weekend, Monday, May 2, 2022 will be the day to observe the holiday. The May 3, 2022 holiday is to mark Eid al-Fitr. Eid is celebrated after Ramadan by Muslims in Ghana and across the world. Muslims believe the Holy Quran was revealed in Ramadan, and throughout the month they fast and engage in other rituals to get closer to Allah. The Supreme Court, in a 9-year decision, has dismissed a review application filed by Justice Abdullahi, a private legal practitioner and plaintiff in the matter, which asked the Supreme Court for interpretation on the voting rights of deputy speakers of parliament when presiding. The president of the 9-member panel of judges, Justice Jones Doche, reading the decision of the panel, said the application fell short of the requirements for review and therefore unmeritorious. The court advised him to abide by the rules of the court and refrain from granting interviews in the media after filing processes.
The applicant, Justice Abdullahi, in his application for review, argued that the Supreme Court's judgment on March 9, 2022 contained errors of laws which have occasioned a grave miscarriage of justice on the people of Ghana. According to him, the failure of the ordinary bench to consider Article 297 Clause H of the Constitution and Section 10 of Parliament Act 1965, Act 300, in interpreting Articles 295 Clause 2 and 104 Clause 2 of the Constitution, which consequently led it to the holding that a reference to the Speaker of Parliament cannot be a reference to the Deputy Speaker. He further contends that there has been a discovery of new and important matter of evidence which, after the exercise of due diligence, was not within his knowledge or could not be produced by him at the time of the judgment. Deputy Attorney General Madam Diana Asunaba-Dapa, in her response to the application, said the review failed to show any exceptional circumstances that had occasioned a miscarriage of justice as captured by the rules of the court. According to her, the review had no merit and was an abuse of the court process. The Supreme Court, in its 7-member panel unanimous decision on March 9, 2022, ruled that a Deputy Speaker of Parliament presiding over proceedings in the House has the right to vote on matters for determination and also be counted as part of the quorum for decision-making. The Apex Court, in its ruling, validated the passage of the 2022 budget by Parliament on November 30, 2021, during which the first Deputy Speaker, Mr. Joseph Osei-Owusu, presiding, counted himself as part of the quorum that made that decision. The court further declared as unconstitutional Order 109, Section 3 of the Standing Orders of Parliament, which barred a Deputy Speaker who is presiding over proceedings from voting on any issue for determination.
Now, the government is working to build consensus with stakeholders on development priorities in northern Ghana. This is part of the plan to improve socio-economic development in the area. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, believes the partnership with development actors will help accelerate the process while minimizing exposure to threats of insecurity in the Sahel.
The focal point of the Northern Development Authority's inaugural meeting with development partners was on raising the standard of living in the 5 regions of the North. The NDA said unmechanized agriculture, weak education and health infrastructure, threats of insecurity from the Sahel, among others, remain key challenges compounding poverty in the North. It highlighted the level of government investment in addressing the issues and the areas requiring catalytic interventions. The Vice President, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, said government is investing to create the conducive space for development actors to support the development of the North.
We shall use this consultation to refine our approach and strategy for the North and use it to frame the agenda for the next Northern Ghana Development Summit. We are very keen to work on development in the North. It needs to be strategic, it needs to be coordinated with many different ways across the 5 northern regions, with development partners, coordinated better with government, taking into account the broader security implications with those agencies, but also looking at the nexus of really kind of lifting the North out of poverty in a more systematic way.
The development actors want the NDA to address operational challenges that undermine effective collaboration with partners.
I think the first step is having a good analysis of the problem, which they have done. So that's one box ticked. The next step is planning. You know, how do we ensure that we are operationalizing the, these broader concepts that they've developed? And so for us to be able to engage would require additional steps such as planning processes that will ensure that we know who is playing what role and what resources are available. So, it really operationalizes the plans that they have.
The plan of the Northern Development Authority is to gather inputs of key stakeholders as it develops a medium-term development strategy for the North. The document will serve as a structure to guide the socio-economic transformation of Northern Ghana.
From the Eastern Region, the Minister for Roads and Highways, Mr. Kwesi Amakwata, inspected ongoing works on the Nkrakan-Dukrom-Trom Road in the Accra district. He gave a thumbs up to progress of work and urged the contractor to complete the project on schedule.
The 36.1 kilometers road is about 63% complete. The road is expected to present alternative routes to drivers who ply the N2 and N6 since the network linking those roads will be opened up. Mr. Mwakwata also inspected works on the construction of a bridge linking the road between Akuse and Somanya in the Yilo-Krobo municipality of the Eastern region. He disclosed that on completion, the project will be of direct benefit to residents. He added that successes chalked up in the first phase of the Year of Roads prompted government to extend it to subsequent years in spite of challenges encountered as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Ongoing bridge construction between Akuse and Somanya, and the bridge has been launched, is completed. The contractor is working on the approaches, and he has been told to do the entire road between Akuse Junction and Somanya. It's one of the check bridges that were brought into the country by a company called Knight Limited, and they brought in 50 of them, and all the 50 bridges are in the country, and that was about the 30th one that has been launched.
The Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Mr. Dan Kwekubotri, said his constituency, Accra, has benefited immensely in the road sector from the government. He was optimistic that the construction of the road will help reduce armed robbery, which is rampant on that stretch.
We've seen the work that the contractor has done. At least it has improved the visibility. It's very easy for you to see very far when coming in. So it's going to be a bit more difficult for robbers to use that as their major area of operation.
The minister and his team also paid a courtesy call on the chief of Ewukugwa, Osaberima Opese Kunedu, at his palace at Edukrom.
British Ghanaian architect David Ajay is formally registered to practice as an architect in Ghana. In Accra on Monday, he was inducted as a registered licensed member of the Architects Registration Council. The official ceremony means Sir David Ajay, the architect designing Ghana's National Cathedral and other projects, can legally do his work.
Minister for Works and House, induct you, Sir David Ajay, into the architectural profession in Ghana.
After receiving the annual practicing license certificate 2022, the board chairman of the Architects Registration Council, Mr. Richard Dade, said Mr. Ajay has fulfilled all registration requirements and now qualifies to practice his career in Ghana in conformity with the Architects Act 357. He was confident that Sir David Ajay will think differently, dream differently, and create differently as expected of the profession.
That as leaders in the built environment landscape, we are continuously challenged to generate solutions today that will address the unknown requirements of the future. This is our duty and our command.
While congratulating him on this achievement, the Minister for Works and Housing, Mr. Francis Senso-Boakye, said Ghana can tap into the renowned architect's wealth of experience and expertise.
Potential of using architecture to overturn the economic fortunes of countries positively cannot be overemphasized. Through this, you can leverage on investors to buy into these innovative ideas to address our current housing challenges.
Sir David Ajay was grateful for the gesture, promising to inspire young architects with his professionalism.
It is every day with great sort of pleasure for me to be able to see a new generation of architects getting extraordinary experience of the works that we are doing all over the continent. And so it's really with that in mind that I'm very grateful to be conferred with this honor, to be able to continue helping new generation and to be practicing and supporting the built environment agenda.
Mr. David Ejay is one of the world's most celebrated architects. His firm, Ejay Associates, has completed more than 70 projects around the world, ranging from galleries and shopping malls to vast university buildings, museums and skyscrapers. In 2017, he was knighted by the Queen Elizabeth II for his services to architecture and described as one of the leading architects of his generation, a global and cultural ambassador for the UK. Sir Ejay's works include the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. and the Moscow School of Management, Skolkovo.
A special report. Banku, an energy-giving food, is a very widespread Ghanaian dish, but is especially appreciated by the people of the southern regions of Ghana, namely the Ewe, Fante and Gan tribes, but also eaten across the other regions of the country. It is traditionally made from a combination of fermented corn and cassava dough. This food is prepared with okra soup or stew, freshly ground pepper, gravy, and any stew or soup of one's choice. In our kitchen today, let's prepare banku on Chopology.
Main ingredients for banku are maize and cassava dough, salt, and water. Mix the cassava and corn dough with water until smooth and droopy. Pour into a pot and put on fire. Keep stirring continuously with a wooden stirrer to avoid lumps. Smoothen any lumps found. Depending on one's preference, add water to the food to soften it when too hard. Keep cooking until well cooked. If you are not sure that your banku is ready, test it by putting a small bit of it in water. Banku, when ready, should not dissolve in water easily. When cooking, it is easy to assume the steamed mixture is too soft. However, the banku gets firmer as it cools down after serving. Once cooked, the banku is dished out and traditionally shaped by hand, quickly dipping fingers in cold water, then folding the dumpling into a ball. You may serve the banku with grilled fish and ground pepper, okra stew or soup, ground pepper and fried fish, fante, or any other type of stew or soup.
Now, the management of the Ghana TVET service has announced that the deadline for enrollment of junior high school graduates who were placed by the CSSPS into technical institutes is 29th April 2022. TVET cautions that parents and guardians whose wards may have some medical conditions and will require an extension of the aforestated deadline may contact the principals of technical institutes concerned for a special arrangement to be made for enrollment afterwards. A statement signed by the Director General of TVET, Madam Mausi Awite, says candidates who have applied for re-entry are advised to check on the CSSPS portal for their placement and subsequent enrollment. Meanwhile, TVET's call centers and resolution centers will continue to operate until 29th April 2022.
As Muslims round up their annual Ramadan, the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Osman Nuhu Sharabutu, has received some products to help boost the energy of the Muslim faithful undertaking the spiritual exercise.
Since the Ramadan started, a number of institutions have made donations of assorted items to support the Chief Imam, who is the national spiritual leader of Muslims in the country, for his household and the Muslim community at large. The latest to lend their support is MY Caesar Company, producers of Dr. Caesar Energy Tea. Officials of the company were at the Chief Imam's residence for 2 reasons: to celebrate him on his 103rd birthday and to support him during the Ramadan. They donated 70 boxes of Caesar Lina tea to boost the energy of the Muslim faithful undergoing the spiritual exercise. The Chief Imam thanked management of MY Caesar Company for the gesture and prayed for the officials. The marketing and operations manager of the company, Mr. Emmanuel Chayo, commended the Chief Imam for his role in promoting the peace the country is enjoying.
Watching you live on GBC News and on GTV. Now, racing against time, the Greater Accra Fire Command has been able to put out Monday's fire that broke out at the Opera Square building complex in Accra Central's business district. The firefighters were at the scene for about 16 hours attending to the fire.
From eyewitnesses, the fire started around 1600 hours GMT. Shop owners who were affected claimed that there was a partitioning of rooms by some welders in one of the warehouses belonging to a Chinese company that deals in plastic products. According to the shop owners, the sparks from the welding work are believed to have triggered the incident. The shop owners who were affected by the fire are unable to quantify their losses. Moreover, those whose shops are on the first floor say the water used to douse the fire has soaked their wares in their stores and are yet to determine the extent of damage caused to their goods. GBC News spoke to some shop owners, Thomas Tete and Moro Amadou.
Fire service for no, in fact, Omaye Juma, beginning no from Omucheka cancer no mobile, but say Omudi 20 tankers nearby, assuming say Omudi 15 penna edumeja because rubber beer, host beyond baby beer, apai. Host beyond bay used to be a pie cars no a bow connected crab more crab on my obesparky crane in sparky adding. It tells me I say Ghana government on share or Muyina or Muniamanayaka, now Mutrain so Mutrain and call enemy crab by a share a bunch to bet my boy. In a sense, baby do no media Minamano baby ashe.
In a related development, fire has gutted a warehouse at the new Mokola shopping mall in Accra, destroying valuables running into thousands of Ghana cedis. The inferno, which started with smoke on the second floor, quickly spread into the other departments of the warehouse. The warehouse contains cosmetic products such as dyes, relaxers, eye products, and makeup. The fire, according to an eyewitness account, started around 1:30 p.m. on Tuesday. The cause of the fire is not yet known. Personnel of the National Fire Service have since brought the situation under control.
The safety team is actually embarking on a serious safety campaign, especially here at Makola. And we would make sure that we actually take traders through safety campaigns. We would actually make sure that there's a rewiring with the electrical systems. And then there's also a task force team that would make sure that all these safety measures actually brought into practice.
Now, the agenda still remains to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa while greening the city. For many, this means ensuring the strictest adherence to the new set of rules in order not to get off course. The Accra City Response Team has received 4 weeks of intensive training under the Operation Clean Your Frontage campaign. The team is expected to be guided by their code of conduct in the discharge of their duties.
Setting, and this means the challenges in managing sanitation becomes obvious. Residents often blame the government and the government, the people, for the filth that piles up. This emphasizes the need for more to be done in the area of sanitation. The first intake of the Accra City Response Team, made up of 200 personnel in training, was to imbibe basic military training and sharpen their communication skills. The duty is cut out to keep an eagle's eye on indiscipline and improve sanitation and reintroduce the concept of saman in Accra.
Key among the establishment of the city response team is to assist MMDAs as well as security agencies to enforce the sanitation bylaws in the various assemblies across the region. The team will, among other things, support the security agencies and the MMDAs in the areas of traffic management, education on good waste management and sanitation practices, curb indiscipline in the areas of selling and parking at unauthorized areas.
Operation Clean Your Frontage makes it obligatory for all individuals and corporations to clean whilst greening their frontage. According to the Minister for the Interior, Mr. Ambrose Derry, this is a transformational agenda to waste management and sanitation challenges. It is expected that their successes will be visible.
The implementation of Let's Make Greater Accra Work agenda will produce the following visible outcomes, among others. 1, discipline on the principal and major roads in the Greater Accra region. 2, reducing dumping of waste at open spaces and in waterways. 3, improvement in waste collection. 4, green and clean environment. And 5, over 3,000 jobs will be created.
A secretariat is also now operational to promote a 24-hour feedback. In all, it is expected that about 3,500 youth will receive training under the initiative. For GBC News, Shirley Annan reporting.
News are live on GTV and GBC News. The business segment in a bit with Maurice Ogbete.
Good evening, welcome to Business, brought to you by Quick Credit and QNet. My name is Morris Sogbete. Now, management of the Kumasi Shoe Factory, also known as the Defense Industries Holdings Company, is asking government to grant a tax waiver on its raw materials imported into the country. The company explained that the 5-year tax waiver spanning 2023-2028 will enable it to become competitive and also break even. The Kumasi Shoe Factory was formerly known as the Ghana Industrial Holding (GIHOC). It was established in 1960 and is situated on a 35.75-acre plot of land. It produces footwear and rubber sheets under an agreement signed by Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and Czechoslovakia in 1961. It collapsed in the late 1970s. However, in 2012, the factory was revamped for production after a joint partnership between Czech Republic-based company Knight AS, acting through its subsidiary Knight Ghana, and the Defense Industries Holding Company (DIHOC), owned by the Ghana Armed Forces. The shoe factory, which has over the years been producing safety and security boots and shoes for the security agencies, has been struggling to remain in production due to the lack of patronage by the security agencies. Mindful of this, management of the factory decided to expand its production to cover specifications, design and tastes of the general public, especially the fashion industry.
If we are producing shoes for ourselves and everybody is supposed to have a shoe a year, or you are talking about 30 million shoes a year. It's a huge market and that money can stay here. You understand? So it's not about Italian shoes or it's not about Chinese shoes.
The chairman of the Defense Industries Holding Company, Dr. Kaolaye, mentioned lack of support as some of the major challenges the Kumasi Shoe Factory has been facing.
The shoes that we are making here are of international standard. You understand? So these are the policies that we need the government to put in place to help us to get the factory going.
Dr. Lai mentioned that if government can revive the policy of Achimota School Sandals, which was initiated in 2014 as part of efforts to empower the Kumasi Shoe Factory to supply sandals to all schools, the company would be in a position to increase its production and workforce. The factory's new showroom at GAF has on display some of its new designs. Also in business, the Cybersecurity Authority and the Ghana Association of Bankers have met to discuss the role of banks in ensuring a secure and resilient digital ecosystem for the financial sector. The two parties resolved to work closely with the Bank of Ghana and other relevant agencies to ensure effective cybersecurity in the banking space.
Cyber attacks threaten more than just money. Banks have a duty to protect their customers' financial data. If a bank's cybersecurity is inadequate, clients can lose valuable time and personal information in addition to their savings. With this in mind, the meeting with the Ghana Association of Bankers and the Cybersecurity Authority deliberated on practical strategies for implementing the Cybersecurity Act 2020, Act 1038, and also a possible revision of the Bank of Ghana Cyber and Information Security Directive. The Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Bankers, Mr. John Iwa, and the Acting Director General of the Cybersecurity Authority, Dr. Albert Ntwibwe-Siako, signed an MOU to collaborate in sensitizing the public to the latest trends in cyber threats and how they can protect themselves. They agreed to effectively collaborate with other institutions like the Financial Intelligence Center, FIC, the Economic and Organized Crime Office, YOCO, and the Criminal Investigations Department, CID. Also present at the meeting were representatives of the Information Security Office of the Bank of Ghana, POG. Meanwhile, the Cybersecurity Authority and the National Information Technology Agency also met to discuss areas of collaboration in implementation of the Cybersecurity Act 2020. At the end of the meeting, the Acting Acting Director General of the Cybersecurity Authority, Mr. Albert Nchibwe-Siako, and the Director General of the National Information Technology Agency, NITA, Mr. David Jewu, reaffirmed their commitment to work together for the development of a sectoral directive for the protection of critical information infrastructure in the public sector, work together in the area of capacity building and knowledge transfer through personal exchanges, and collaborate in the area of incident response as NITA is considered a sectoral computer emergency response team. Another commitment is to collaborate on standardization, certification, and accreditation activities as part of both institutions' regulatory mandates.
Also in business, the Ghana Enterprises Agency, together with the Ministry of Trade and Industry, have launched the 2022 Ghana Women Entrepreneurship Summit and the Innovative Women Entrepreneurs We Rise Network in Accra.
In June 2018, the first Ghana Women Entrepreneurship Summit was held on the theme, Ghanaian Women Entrepreneurs from Voices to Action, signaling the Ghanaian woman to take action, standing side by side with each other through knowledge sharing, mentoring, coaching and hand-holding are some of the goals of this network. In furtherance of this, the Ghana Enterprises Agency, GEA, leveraged on its youth entrepreneurship and employment program in partnership with MasterCard Foundation to design a 3-year project under the Young Africa Works project. This partnership will create access to dignified work for 39,000 youth. The summit is a platform that has helped to further advance women economic empowerment and created the largest database of women entrepreneurs in Ghana. The Minister for Trade and Industry, Mr. Alan Chematin, said MSMEs drive the Ghanaian economy and they constitute 70% of the business population, and 46% of these businesses are owned by women. This, he said, is in line with the government's agenda of developing Ghana into an entrepreneurial nation. The Minister for Communication and Digitalization, Mrs. Ursula Owusu-Kufo, at the launch of the summit and We Rise Network, said the coming together of women as a network will not only sustain the efforts of the foundation in Ghana, but also bring rapid expansion of upcoming interventions. She also charged the women to take advantage of the AFCFTA with focus on packaging and branding of their products.
Our food is good and healthy. Our products are fantastic. But we need to do something about our packaging and the consistency of the products that we produce and be able to produce to scale. The sky is your limit.
The Chief Executive, Ghana Enterprises Agency, Mrs. Kosi Yankee Aye, said government's support for the MSME sector has been encouraging, but access to finance, which is a major hurdle, is being addressed.
From the CAPA season to now, over $200 million worth of funding has been provided and actually created an access. For the first time in the nation's history, more women have accessed funding than they've ever done in their entire lives.
This year's Ghana Women Entrepreneurship Summit is on the theme, Breaking Barriers, Accelerating the Growth of Women-Owned Businesses.
Let's go to the interbank forex market, where the dollar is now selling at 7 cedis. The pound sterling is going for 9 cedis, and the euro at 7 cedis 61 pesos.
That was Business, brought to you by Quick Credits and QNet. The news continues after this break.
Good evening and welcome to the Energy segment. I'm Dominic Logi. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, says it is working with the Energy Commission to incorporate provisions in the proposed amendment to the Energy Commissions Act to criminalize illegal electricity connections. Presently, the practice is not a criminal offense, and perpetrators are only made to pay penalties or a civil case is filed against them in court. The Executive Secretary of PURC, Dr. Ishmael Aka, told GBC News that efforts are also ongoing to get Parliament to amend the criminal code to include a provision for power theft.
Public Utilities Regulatory Commission (PULC's) Act only has provisions for sanctions against persons who steal utilities, illegal electricity connections, or power theft is a major concern in the power sector, as the practice adds to the losses in the generation, transmission, and distribution of electricity. Many have called for the criminalization of power theft as pertains in some jurisdictions to mete out stiffer punishment to persons who engage in the act.
What we are doing is to work with Energy Commission to have some of these criminal requirements or criminal provisions inserted in the act, their act, which they are amending. We are also working with the utilities to work with Parliament to see whether the criminal code can be amended to include some of these provisions. However, there are now LI 2413 provides certain mechanisms we can use to still punish whoever steals power or tamper with the meter.
The Director of Regional Operations at PULC, Alhaji Bukari Jabaru, said power theft is a bane to cost recovery and sustenance of the utility service providers.
What Ghanaians don't know is that whatever they are stealing, we end up paying for it, one way or the other. It might not be through the race, but governments will end up has to inject money into the utility because he's a shareholder, and government is me and you. So at the end of the day, if people are doing illegal connection, people are stealing power, it is on to all of us to come together and see how that thing is nipping the bud. And that includes sanctioning corporates that they get. But as it is now, whatever, when they get somebody who has done illegal connection, the only thing they can do is to recover and add a penalty.
The regulatory authorities hope that criminalizing illegal electricity connections will serve as a deterrent to persons who engage in the practice.
Electricity consumers have been encouraged to support the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, in its efforts to ensure uninterrupted power supply. Speaking with GBC News in Accra, Projects Manager of ECG, Mr. Bernardo Usudankwa, said illegal activities on the company's network undermines electricity delivery services and its general performance.
We need customers to be able to have the power all time for their basic use and their daily use. So when we have instances where our contributions as customers or as citizens are impacting on the network of ECG, then it's very difficult for us to give you the power in the efficiency and then in the reliable manner that you want it. But I will also say that in terms of reliability indices with our regulators, that's the PURC, we are not doing that bad. That means that customer service delivery gradually is improving over time. And I think that together as stakeholders, if we put our hands to the wheel, become responsible citizens, pay our bills on time, report power theft, and also ensure that we use energy efficiently, we'll be able to meet our energy demand.
We now bring you some data on national power generation, Ghana's power export figures, and the water level in the Akosombo and Bui dams.
To some international news, a second Ebola